the EAM Crypto channel. How you doing today, man?
Great. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, excited to have you on. We have covered play to earn games, kill earn games. I think there's a million different ways to call the gaming part or niche of crypto, but we have covered it extensively on my channel. We started covering it back in December, so you're going to have some viewers watching because of that. You'll have other viewers watching because they want to know what else is going on with Astro, because we also covered 100 days quite a bit on the channel. So there's going to be kind of some overlap there. But Matt, before we get started and talk through all that, what are you doing, man? What is your title? What is something as far as your background? Why are you here talking to us today, Matt?
Sure. No, great. I'm CEO of Little Orbit. And in terms of background, I've been in games nearly 20 years. I'm an engineer by trade, so I don't. There's no sort of ivory tower watch from above and direct. I get my hands dirty every day on the project, and it depends what the focus of the company is. But I'm usually in there doing some programming, working with the team, working on some of the design pieces.
Okay, very cool. Very cool. And as far as how you came in contact with the 100 Days team and all that good stuff, can you tell me a little bit about that? I know that you guys had, I guess, some kind of like partnership or knowing before everything kind of happened. So this is something that's been in the works for a little bit, right?
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, I mean, I've been in the space for about 20 years, and I would say about half of that, one of the founders of 100 Days is a really good long-term friend of mine that I've known for 10 years. I call him family. And so, I have had the luxury of watching what's happening in the crypto space now for about the last year and a half, getting in and been an investor and also been involved with looking at the GameFi projects out there and watching what's happening in the space. Obviously, I work in there, but knowing him for the last 10 years and watching what was happening on the 100 Days side, we just got to talking. It's kind of, what are they doing? What's the I liked that they were doxed and were upfront with their community, talked about their vision. They're all super passionate guys, and they get out there like me. We're working stiffs. We get out there every day, roll up our sleeves. So I liked what they were doing, and then that blossomed into a conversation about partnering. Certainly Little Orbit. While we've shipped 22 games in the past, we've done a ton of work with big licensors like Warner Brothers and Disney and others. We're new to crypto, so I just felt like it made sense to talk to folks that knew what they were doing, and to partner with them on the NFT side of things, on the marketplace side of things, as we ramp up this first title.
Okay, very cool. And your game has been so the game STFU,
Yeah.
Ships That Fight Underground. It's been in production since 2014. Is that
Yep.
correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so which is a big deal. So I mean, one thing that I've kind of talked about on the channel and almost I don't want to say make fun of, but just called out is the fact that we saw all these play to earn games come out second half of 2021. And a lot of these games, in my opinion, were just money grabs, right? Because of the fact that they saw that this is the new narrative, this is kind of the cool, exciting thing. I firmly believe that the next bull run in crypto is going to be moved by maybe two, maybe three narratives. And I firmly believe that gaming and play to earn is going to be a big part of the narrative. Now, whether all the things that this niche wants to accomplish are going to happen or not, time will tell. But I think it's undeniable that that will be a big part of the narrative. So I really love the fact that you guys have been working on this game since then, because what that tells me is that A, it's not a money grab, but B, you guys are really trying to create a great game, right? Is that something that someone that that's been in the space for since 2014? Did you see this and kind of chuckle to yourself?
It's funny. You're spot on. We finished the game last year. We were at a point where we were literally sitting on the doorstep of launch, marketing plan, traditional sort of free to play game. And like you said, this game has been in development for since 2014. It's on Unreal, so it's on Unreal 4.27. I always hate to refer to things as like a real game, right? But in this case, I'll call it a traditional game with all the bells and whistles, right? It's a PvP with 8 different multiplayer modes, 36 different maps, big long single player campaign. Um, but what's happening, what was happening in crypto at the time, and over the last year and a half, just it's really exciting seeing the evolution of the tech. I'm an engineer, right? So I'm just watching people use blockchain technology and get more sophisticated with it and do these really impressive things with it. And I thought, let's just take a pause. Let's reevaluate what we're doing and see if we could come up with something unique. And that's effectively what we did. But back to your point, I like to think of STFU as like Star Atlas's little brother, right? Like we've got a lot of the MMO pieces. We've got a co-op team mode. The big difference is it'll be out this year. I wouldn't be putting this in front of crypto folks in this market unless I was firmly just firmly confident that we could get a nice solid game out and get it out soon. I think that has got to be the narrative now. Is we're taking a finished game and just adding some of the blockchain pieces to it.
I agree completely. Absolutely. And as far as getting a finished game out as soon as possible, so how do you see things fitting in with the macro? I think I've talked on my channel quite a bit about the fact that the macros, the bad elements of the macro, right, and the things that so many financial markets are kind of hurting right now, and we're seeing what's happening in Europe and China right now. It does play into this niche, right, of gaming. So how do you see that playing into things? Are you guys going to maybe release certain things at certain points and wait until the macro gets better, or are you guys just going to go full throttle for the best of the game? What is your thinking there?
It's interesting. It's a fantastic question, by the way. I tend to be a little anti-hype, right? I think we've seen way too much hype, way too much overpromise, underdeliver in the space. And so for me, I feel like we're getting into the market certainly under bearish conditions, right? And I feel like we're approaching it really conservatively. I think the pricing has been approached conservatively. I would love my absolute dream is that everybody who gets involved makes a ton of money on that. Having said that, I think the key is just stability and hitting the mark, right? Just day in, day out. I think a lot of projects that are launching are 100% all in crypto, and if any bobbles come, that team fails, right? They're trying to, in our case, I'm going to draw analogies. We've got the NFT piece of it, we've got a token piece of it coming later this year that funds a treasury which has some of the rewards in it, right? But we're not banking on that, right? We're a company that's been around since 2010. Like I said, we've shipped 22 games. I think we crafted a really nice conservative strategy, which means we're launching free to play. There's free to play revenue, and we have combined that with Web 3. We've actually rolled that all together in sort of this Web 2.5 approach. And I think what that means to crypto investors is there's a hedge here. We're not banking all on that money coming in through the initial NFT sales or through the token launch, right? We have other revenue coming in from a traditional free to play market. So like you said, as you go through this winter, we don't know what's going to happen, right? I think the projects that are wholly dependent on crypto, right, or they're just betting the farm there, there's more risk there, in my opinion, right? For us, we've hedged that risk with this sort of dual-sided economy. Free to play players, they'll spend money. We take that money and convert it to USDC, which means as a publisher, we're being transparent. Everybody's going to be able to look at the ledger, look at the treasury, and see exactly how much money is being made on the free-to-play side and exactly how much money is being made on the Web3 side. And so by combining these two, kind of this Web 2.5 approach, that means our treasury will hold USDC that we can use to buy our token back as it starts to dip, right? So we're hedging against that a little bit, kind of keeping the value for investors. And then that goes back to our treasury, and we use that to pay out those play to earn rewards. It's the same token we use for all of our reward systems. So I think on the crypto side, people are going to love the free to play players, right? Because they're funding money into the treasury that helps drive value of that token. And on the play to earn side, which we're actually calling create to earn, they're driving user generated content that the free to earn players get to play. So they love that side of it too, right? We're just taking a really straightforward model. We're saying, look, where I think crypto does an amazing job is establishing ownership and allowing us to share some of the economic benefits of the game to people who create or play the most, right? You're driving the success of our game. This just gives us a way to reward you as the game has higher and higher levels of revenue.
Okay. Okay. Very cool. And I also like that because it appeases the kind of traditional gamers, right? Where they're very worried about the fact that crypto is going to the crypto piece of it's going to really hamper the game and the game experience and all that good stuff. So the fact that you've kind of created almost like a wall between the two, and if they want to climb that wall and come to the other side of it, they're welcome to. But if they don't want to, that's fine. And the crypto side of things will not get hampered or hit by the fact that some traditional gamers want to just kind of gamers want to stay, out of those lanes, right? So
Yeah.
I really like the fact that you're being able to do that, but at the same time, from a revenue perspective, interlap them, right? So
Right.
that sounds like a really good way to go. So as far as the token and some of the other pieces of it, so back to like 100 days ventures.
Yeah.
From what I understand, or I guess I'll let you explain to it so I don't explain it incorrectly, but the way that the Astro investors are going to benefit from this is due to the fact that they are going to be able to, I guess it's like 30%, I think is the number of
Yep.
some of the revenue generated is going to be locked up by the 100 days team. And then if you stake your Astro, you get a piece of that. Did I explain that correctly?
That's spot on. Yeah. So
Okay.
so Ro and Arsh and the rest of the team, when we sat down to talk about the partnership, we really batted it back and forth a little bit. I think the people that got involved in 100 days are looking for their investment to take shape in different companies, different partnerships. That's kind of the manifestation of what 100 days does. And so
Mhm.
I think, having known one of the founders for 10 years, a good friend of mine, I wanted to put something meaningful on the table for Astro holders. I think they actually did a poll at one point, and they said, well, how much of Little Orbit's revenue do you guys think we can get? Or, how much do you think? And like no one, 30 wasn't even on the poll. It was like 5%, 10%, maybe 15%. And what I wanted was something meaningful, right? If you bought Astro, I put my investor hat on. I want to see an investment in each one of these partnerships, right? So they're helping us go out and marketing. We're using their marketplace. They're actually funding some of the marketing for this initial NFT drop. But in exchange, you're right. They're 30% of our revenue, USDC revenue, is going back into their treasury that they then get to share with people who staked Astro. So like in my mind, that you start doing multiples of those, and all of a sudden Astro is just it's doing really well, right? You're seeing the dividends pay back in a real way that's not tied to the market, right? That's USDC. It's investments they make as other people are driving revenue back into Astro.
Yeah, it's a fantastic, it's a win-win. It really is. So,
It
which is
is, and I
what
think
all
that's
partnerships are about. Yeah. So,
exactly.
so Matt, you want to hear something really funny?
Okay.
We're actually on live. I
Oh, are we?
instead of clicking record, I click live. So we're live and didn't even know it until someone just texted me and told me. So that's pretty funny. So it's a good thing we didn't do anything as far as like bad audio, and then we restarted without knowing or anything, because we've been live for 13 minutes. So
All right. All right.
that's pretty
Well, hi
funny.
everybody. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. I this was not meant to be live. It's supposed to be recorded. Yeah, so there's like in Restream, there's like two buttons, Matt.
Yep.
And I clicked on the live instead of the record. So
Sure.
wow, I should drank more coffee this morning. So pretty
Yep.
funny.
No
So
worries.
yeah. Yeah. So guys, sorry that there wasn't anything as far as like some kind of like, hey, we're
Announcement.
gonna be announcement, nothing. But it's okay. We were gonna do it. It'll be record either way. The recording of the live version will be there, so it's all good.
All right.
Nothing
Great.
there. Yeah. So all right. So back to the game itself. Matt, can you tell us a little bit about the game? I mean, I've seen the trailer, I've seen your
Sure.
game, so I have a pretty good idea of it. But can you maybe tell us a little bit about it and what makes it different? And I mean, what have you been working on since 2014?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a
Yeah.
really long time.
Well, it's the game's gone through a couple iterations, right? That's ultimately what I think people who got into GameFi early, right? We could talk about Axie, we could talk about some of the early projects, and then, like you said, there was a ton of people that got in maybe late 2021, and we won't spend a whole lot of time there. But for your audience, games require iteration, right? If I'm out there building a business system, I could have an incredible design with all kinds of specs, and I can build it, and if it works, I'm successful. Games have one extra thing. This is what I've learned over 20 years of doing it, and that is they have to be fun. And that intangible element of being fun is what drives the need to sit there and take a good hard look at the game, rework it, go back through, and sharpen up those game mechanics. And so, in 2014, what this game started off as was like a descent, uh, um, ancestor, right? Like, taking off where some of the previous games back in the mid 90s had started. So this is a 6 degrees of freedom shooter, takes place inside carved out asteroids. So you've got, like bases or tunnels, caverns, harvest points, things like that. It's a shooter. What I mean by 6 degrees of freedom is it plays like a drone. So when you're flying a drone, you don't have to angle the drone up to go up. You can literally just go up sideways. You can strafe. But the ships in STFU handle like drones. And there's a bunch of games. There's Overload, Descent, and a couple others that have made that genre really popular. So when this game started, it was really a nod to those original games with basically like with a reimagined game progression. And what I mean by that is those original games, you got onto a LAN server back in the mid 90s. There was no state. There was one ship. Everybody got the same ship. And you basically went in, found boosts or ammo, and wiped each other out, right? The maps were everything. Everything spawns on the map. But when you left, you didn't gain any experience. Your ship didn't get any more powerful. You didn't upgrade. There was no meta game. It was just literally go in, fight it out, get out, find a new match, go play again. And that's what this game tried to solve, was to take some really classic fun game mechanics, shooter mechanics, and add an entire metagame loop on getting new ship. We have 20 different ship types. They break down into 5 different categories, like assault or defender. Think of like putting a team together. You'd want, your kind of heavy tank in front. You'd want your fast, kind of squishy damage ship. So we have different kind of role-based ship categories, and then 20 different ships that are from, inside the game. We have a whole lore about different manufacturers that make these ships. And with those, you level up. You can upgrade your ship with tech tree upgrades. Each ship has a unique kind of, it's ship specific, but has a unique tech tree. And then you can craft mods. So you can collect and harvest resources out of these asteroids. And there's a whole crafting system for what we call mods, which slot into the ship. They can be cosmetic, nose cones and wingtips and different skins, all the way down to actual gameplay mods, where you can trade off certain things. You might go a little faster, but you're going to have less armor. There's ways you can kind of customize. Mods are not ship specific. But that entire like ecosystem, that whole MMO came about through iteration and evolution. And so right now what we have is we have a game that has a full single player mode. We have PvP with, like I said, 8 different modes, 36 different PvP maps. And then we have PvE co-op, where I'm going to get on a team with my friends and I'm going to play against the AI. That's, in my opinion, our most exciting feature, because you're not winning or losing against live player. It's something like games like Warframe have had for years and been hugely successful. So we should definitely come back to that. It's called Asteroid Runs. It's one of our key features, where blockchain holders can buy land, build out their own level. It means they get to spend our resource in game called Nano, where they can build out turrets and enemies, and then teams of 3 can try and come invade your asteroid run and win play to earn rewards. If the land creator did a good job defending the base, they get the play to earn rewards. If the team can go in, harvest resources, blow the reactor, get out, then they get the play to earn rewards.
Okay, very cool, very cool. And as far as you kind of touched on the NFTs and that piece of it, I know with some games, they've offered the opportunity for investors, maybe someone's more of an investor versus a gamer, to still take part in that project, maybe buy a bunch of NFTs and then kind of maybe create some passive income, where the NFTs can be used by the actual players that don't have the funds to buy those NFTs so that they can optimize their game experience. Are you guys going to offer anything like that, Matt?
Like scholarship or some of those various concepts. So what we're doing now is actually the NFT drop coming up Friday is a pilot's license, and we actually have a free to play version of that. It's kind of this, in the lore we distinguish free to play items as corporate items. So these asteroids are owned by corporations. They're looking for pilots to mine them, and obviously they'll kind of loan you stuff, right? So if you're buying stuff as a free-to-play player, you own it, it's yours. It just can never leave your account. That's the main problem with any free-to-play game, is authenticating who owns what is very murky, because you can have someone try to sell something on eBay to another player, but it's not authenticated, right? So as a publisher, that's the number one source of customer service complaints we get. And when I looked at crypto, I thought this solves all of that. Like finally a legitimate way for investors or for gamers to buy assets and be able to sell them through our economy, but it's all super authenticated. You know that this person sold this thing and now that person's the owner of it, right? Nothing has to happen in the back room on eBay or Squirrely, right? So in our economy, we have corp ships. They're free to play items that never leave your account. And then we have chain ships or chain mods. And those are true blockchain items that you can buy and then resell. And so the pilot's license is actually an NFT that has ongoing airdrop NFT. So you're getting one and then it gives you more NFTs as we go. So the lowest tier is an iron tier. It's all on, by the way, it's all on our website. I encourage everybody to do your homework. Um, I love digging through this stuff, and we've taken a lot of time to write the white paper. We've done 4 published Medium articles talking about our approach, the Web 2.5 stuff, the difference with ships. But it's on playstfu.com if you're interested. Plenty of information up there. But with the pilot's license, there's 3 tiers: iron, thorite, and nano. Iron will give you 5 legendary chain ships, 5 preset ships. There's some mods in there, and it's effectively 6 months worth of content. So if you buy that, which is going on, we're doing a discount. It's going on up for 50% off on Friday. We're doing a limited quantity of each tier. If you buy that, then that will give you, it will emit more NFTs that you can sell. So you're sort of getting this initial one, and then we estimate right around, I think, about an 85% discount on the total value. That might have even been before we did half off. It might be up to 90% off now. So the
And this
Thorite
is on
tier,
Friday, right?
this is on Friday. Yeah, this is the 9/9 drop
And where
through
where
100
can
days.
okay, so everything's through 100 days.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So
Okay.
if you're already following 100 days, and again, there's a whitelist sign up on playstfu.com. So if you want to go up there and sign up, then we'll be emailing out more details about the drop. But yeah, it's all within the 100 days ecosystem on their brand new marketplace for NFTs.
Okay, cool. So they don't have to go outside of the 100 days ecosystem in any way, shape, or form.
No.
Okay, very
No.
cool. All right. So one thing that you kind of hit on, that I didn't want to interrupt your train of thought, but that
Sorry.
you kind of touched on for a second. No, no, you're good. Was in regards to the tokenomics and that sort of thing. And with Axie Infinity, which is the OG of gaming, they did something
Right.
amazing. They really have probably changed things forever. Maybe not the coolest, funnest game. It sometimes I'll never forget the first time I actually saw the game. I was like, this is it. This is the
Yeah.
big hype. But to their credit, they hit on something new, something's never been done before. They're mobile, right? Which
Yep.
is big. And I understand that you guys have on your roadmap, you will be mobile, correct? That we can talk
Yep.
about that in a sec. Okay.
Sure.
But I guess the big issue with Axie Infinity, and where I think lessons learned are, what happened to the token, the actual token that they utilize within their ecosystem within the game. It's SLIP or SLP, whatever it's called. I always forget. It got decimated because of inflation, because of the tokenomics around it, the way they built around it. So Matt, you guys obviously saw what happened there.
Yep.
I'm sure you studied that. So what is your game doing to make sure that it doesn't fall into those same hazards that Axie Infinity fell into?
Yeah, yeah. No, we touched on this briefly before, and that is, for their play to earn mechanics, they have a treasury in their token, right? And the rate at which they were emitting tokens into the economy just caused inflation, right? So like one day you're playing for dollars, the next day you're playing for pennies, and it's unfortunate, but and like you said, they were the first, right? I mean, they didn't have the luxury of looking at a previous model or looking and doing all the math and knowing exactly how this was going to play out. So I want to give them, credit. A lot of people who are following in their footsteps, and we've had the luxury, obviously, hindsight, to be able to look at what happened with them. But 100%, if you look at our white paper, I would say a lot of what we crafted were around the worst case scenarios. We were like, hey, how do we solve the worst case dip, right? Like, or the worst case where you're doing something and there's a ton of tokens out there all of a sudden. We have this buyback mechanic in our white paper, which is great, right? It allows us to solve 2 problems, right? One, we pull excess STFU out of the economy, right? We want to control that, but 2, we put it back in our treasury to pay out to players at a nice, constant, even drip rate, right? And so a lot of that is meant to equalize the economy and bring stability.
Very cool. Very cool. That's good to hear. And yeah, like you said, I mean, it does make it easier when you can learn from the footsteps of others. But you already have the game itself piece, pretty much for most purposes sorted out because of the fact you've been working on it for 8 years. I mean, that's just
Yeah,
amazing. So, as far as the actual game and roadmap and what else you plan to do, so I guess we can start with the mobile piece and other
sure.
pieces of how you plan to roll it out. Can you tell us a little bit more about that, Matt?
Sure. So one of the other things with the pilot licenses, we're going to be doing dev diaries every week. Again, kind of being a transparent publisher. You get to see how the sausage is made. The developer will be posting updates all the way up through the end of the year, which is our target. We have a full milestone release schedule that we're publishing to the community that says, here's our first marker, here's our second marker, here's our third marker. You can kind of track those pieces along with the goal of being out in the ecosystem by the end of the year. You mentioned mobile. One of the first things on our roadmap outside of the main game is a WebGL experience. We know not everybody is a super high-end PC gamer that can run a big gaming rig to play an Unreal game, or even maybe not everybody likes shooters. So you know, uh, uh, getting out there with an experience on the web, you can run it in the browser. Where you can take your ships, you can interface with what we call our drone bay. That's our garage where you've got all your ships, and send them out on missions to collect resources and actually drive some of the mechanics right there through the desktop, but not through the big bells and whistles Unreal experience. That's early. That's early in experience. We can take that exact experience and put that on mobile, which is nice. So it's a nice kind of like lateral into mobile. But as you know, or maybe you don't, but Unreal runs on mobile. So taking our exact game and then putting bits and pieces of it in the full 3D experience on mobile is also in the roadmap. Basically, taking that a chunk at a time. I like to say, we want to be under promising and over delivering. So one of the big things is just to be conservative in our roadmap, publish the roadmap, tell people when things are coming, and then hit it. Just be reliable. I think we talked about this at the beginning. Getting something into the market is huge. I think there's a ton of. Last time I counted, there were over 50 different GameFi or play to earn projects in development. The vast majority of them haven't shipped yet. And it would be amazing for us to just sort of leapfrog everybody, get something in the market that's full Unreal. That is really our dream. That's why we're doing what we're doing, is we're so close in now.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah. So, Kama just typed in the chat that he's very excited to see the play to earn aspect of it, finally with a good game with good graphics. So, I think that's one of the things that we've seen and we touched on it is the fact that so many of these games that came up, they were just trying to roll up so much on the hype and everything that they're just horrible games with just horrible graphics. And they were so focused on the play to earn or kill to earn or whatever you want to call it aspect of it that they forgot the fact that people want to play good games. Like,
Right.
I mean, it's just something that I feel like was forgotten. So many games that have come out in the last few months, and I've noticed, I've been watching them, just awful games, man. Like no one
Yeah.
would want to play that game. But for whatever reason, they were able to get millions in funding
Right.
because of the hype. So it's pretty amazing to see. And so there's not that many really great games, I think, out there. So the ones that really are good games, I think, will be the ones that make it through this.
Sure.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
stay.
really quickly, I mean, I think it's an interesting topic, right? I think what we've seen in this last cycle is a little bit of a winnowing, right? There was a lot of stuff in the market. There's a lot of, I don't want to say garbage, but a lot of stuff that just wasn't ever going to be successful. And so part of this adjustment, obviously, there's economic factors that are playing into it, but also I think it's that first stage wave. We're sort of done. We're clearing out some of that stuff, moving on to maybe a bit more conservative practices, a bit more sound practices. But one of the big things is actually bringing game people into crypto as opposed to crypto people trying to make a game, which is what I think you
Mhm.
saw, right? You saw early people who could go download Unity, or they could go get a couple of their friends, or they could even try to build a team. But making games is an art, not a science. And it takes that one component of fun. It takes game design and just some really heavy brain power to do, and most of all experience. And so I think what's nice now is I'm starting to see at least some seasoned game professionals come to crypto now and start to employ their experience. And I think that stigma with traditional games, because the hate for NFTs is real. If you stop a gamer on the street and say, "Hey, we're adding
Yes.
NFTs to our game," they've
Yes.
they've got two main misconceptions. One of them I think is they feel like you mentioned their favorite game is going to get muddied up with gimmicky mechanics, and
Hmm.
if they're a Call of Duty fan, they're going to end up with a breeding mechanic in Call of Duty, and and I get that fear
Hmm.
of your favorite game being ruined is a big driver, right? And then the second thing I think is just the misconception about how crypto works. I think they feel like it's going to be an alternate or additive monetization scheme. So they're already paying for Battle Pass, they're already paying for microtransactions in the free to play world, and then I think they believe that with crypto they're going to add on this third new monetization that they have to participate in, and it's just going to be more death by a thousand cuts, or nickel and dimed. And so it was important to us to steer, just hey, let's acknowledge those stereotypes are out there, that narrative's out there, and let's literally turn that on its head. And I think I mentioned rewarding creators. Without blockchain, it is almost impossible to take a player who has contributed content and literally give them a portion of your revenue. There's just no way to do it, right? What blockchain and NFT does for us, at least, is it allows us to have a ledger and be able to pay back the community that invests their time into our game. And so one of the big things that Little Orbit is absolutely doubling down on is UGC. You mentioned it before. There are some companies that they're going to have more than one product, right? They're going to kind of stay in the market. They're going to keep rolling things through. And that's the case with us. We have gamersfirst.com, which is our traditional free to play portal. We have over 20 million people registered in that portal over the last 10 years. And we've added blockchain support to that. So if you're a gamer and you want to do free to play stuff, no problem. We love you. Thanks for playing our games. Thanks for supporting us. If you're someone who wants to get their toe in the water, you can play our games. I believe we have one of the best UGC, or user generated content platforms in the world. It's in a game called APB Reloaded. But taking some of those bits and pieces, allowing people to customize content, build levels, and then deploy that out as a playable asset is amazing. And so all of our games will have that one thing in common: the ability to take our game. If you invest time, you create content, we're going to then share either play to earn or create to earn rewards back with our biggest creators and the people driving our content. And I think that's it's going to be true of this game. We've got our asteroid runs, which are player made levels that people get to compete in. And then the next game and the next game, they all have sort of user generated content elements that I think you can't do that any other way. And that's where I want the narrative for gamers is: everybody loves to create content. Everybody loves playing Minecraft. They love being creative either with their kids or on their own. But games don't pay them for that. They're literally building the game. That's Roblox, right? So
Hmm.
Roblox has developed a mechanism where you can earn Robux and you can try to convert that to real dollars and that sort of thing. But it's pretty clunky. I think crypto solves that.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. You hit basically on everything that I want to ask about. I think the only thing you didn't hit on there was how you can alleviate the fact that a lot of people are also concerned. You said a one, a two. I went out of three. Is the play to win aspect a lot, or
Sure.
play or pay, I'm sorry, pay to win,
Pay to win.
where a lot of people
Absolutely.
are concerned about that piece of it. So
Yeah.
um, so yeah, we actually have Arsh now. I think Daryl jumped on for a little bit as well. Good to see
All
you
right.
guys.
Hey, Arshay, guys.
So I think we got up to like 12 to 13 people watching at one point. I think we're down to 6 right now. But again, guys, my apologies.
Unannounced.
I really did hit the go live button instead of the record button. I don't even know how I did it. I didn't even know that was like a thing. I thought you had to hit like several buttons. So sorry that this was not announced. It will still be recorded for anyone to see anytime. So we just kind of got ahead of the curve a little bit, but
Yeah.
we got lucky and we haven't had any audio issues. So yeah, so you kind of hit on all that, but I do think that's a big concern, Matt, with a lot of the traditional gamers, is that they don't want the game to become a pay to win type of scenario. And I really like the fact that you guys have figured out not just one but two different ways around that. So that's really good to see,
Yeah.
because that is
Everything.
an issue.
We have that conversation, in house all the time. It is literally, one of the things we talk about in our design team is, how can we make elements? Because here's the fundamental problem with pay to earn, right? We deal with this on all of our PvP games, and that is no one wants to feel like another player didn't spend the time learning how to play the game. They spent a bunch of money, and therefore they're better than me. And
Hmm.
that is a balance that, as a designer, you have to know going in day one. And the basic way you combat pay to win is by making all those mods and upgrades available through earning them, right? Through playing. The main core tenet of free to play is you can sort of pass up the time investment by trading money for time. So you can speed up advancement, but once you get those mods and upgrades on your ship, that's not going to make you a better player, right? This is still a shooter. The skill cap is still pretty high. And those mods might make you 5% better, but I guarantee a good player could take a basic ship with no mods, no upgrades, and beat a not so great player that's fully maxed out, right? That has all the kit and all the fun stuff.
That's good. That's good
What
to
we
see.
do
Yeah.
with our stuff, and we're doing this live, so I don't mind potentially sharing a screen or
No,
pulling
not
up
at all.
something if we want to do that.
No, and Secret stated the F2P/Web3 hybrid is incredible. So he's kind of
Cool. Yeah,
a
that's
little
definitely
hype in the chat there.
our Web 2.5 approach, where these two ecosystems kind of benefit each other, which I am super excited about. This is one of those things that we have designed. We've kind of really come up with it in our own, in our lab, and deploying it is going to be really fun to watch. It's something that we believe strongly in, this idea, especially because there's so many free-to-play players that maybe don't know crypto, or there's this fear. So this is a way for them to get in, try all that content. My ferv is, my wish is that they'll play for a month or two, they'll have bought some ships, and they'll think to themselves, wow, if only I would have gotten the chain ship, right? Then I could be participating in all these rewards, or I could be participating in this other side of the game. And so I think of it as just this nice light touch that people who are on the free to play side can see a window into blockchain, get comfortable with it without it being shoved, in their face, and then say, wow, I do want to play these are really fun, legitimate game modes, playing with two of my friends and going and invading an asteroid run that's been created by a player, and having that sort of MMO kind of a PvE co-op experience is amazing. I hope that they dig that, and then they decide, what, I'm going to engage just a little bit further, and that we can pull some people over out of traditional gaming.
Oh yeah, and you have to. I mean, I think that's part of the fun, though, is trying to get as many of the traditional gamers as possible. But if you don't, your crypto side will still be fine, because you use the revenue from the traditional gamers. So it's a win-win either way. So you said you're going to share screen something there?
Yeah, let's share a little screen here.
Okay.
I'm going to pull up. This is our, if you guys get a chance, I'm a big believer in information. PlaySTFU.com is our primary website. That's got the information and links. So whitelisting, white paper, the Medium articles. This is one of the articles that we just, if you go up to Medium, you can look for PlaySTFU, and we've released 4 articles. We've got a 5th coming up. Article explains in detail.
Matt, can you put it in the chat real quick, or you can private chat it to me, and
Absolutely.
I'll put it on for everyone.
Sure,
okay.
Sure. Let's do that here,
and I'll make sure to add it to the
video
recording.
Locked. I'm not able to type over there. I don't know if you have to give me access to it, but I don't. Oh, there we go. All right, I got it.
Okay.
There you go.
Perfect. Thank you.
So there's the link. But if you guys get a chance to read this talks about where we've been, where we're going, a little bit about GameFi, Web3, what it means to traditional gamers. It's a short article, but it really kind of maps out our approach, this sort of hybrid. The one I wanted to pull up, which I think is pretty meaningful here, is this one. Oop, I'm clicking on our screen, and that is the ships. And so this is where we really start to put some meat on the bone about what is a corp ship. And these are free-to-play ships that don't leave your account. They are one-to-one, functionally identical to the chain ships. I just want to drill that home, right? Neither side, free-to-play or blockchain or Web3, neither side has an advantage when it comes to playing in matches. The difference is what you can earn, right? So I'm going to be the same player. I'm going to play the same stuff. I'm going to do the same things. If I'm holding a chain ship in my wallet, then I get to engage this entire ecosystem of play to earn or create to earn. So, free to play players, they get access to multiplayer, single player, limited access to asteroid runs. They can play them, but like I said, they can't get some of the blockchain rewards. And that's for a simple fact that we don't have a wallet to pay out, right? If you've just signed up and you're a free to play player, we don't have any address to actually give you the rewards on. Chain ships, on their hand, can go on all the chain missions. They can participate in the asteroid runs. They can earn actual STFU, which is our main token, We have two other resources on chain, Nano and Thorite. They can do all the same customization. So they've got that entire meta game I talked about, where you grab a ship, you can upgrade it, you earn experience, you go through that whole loop. The difference is they can sell it. So at the at the end of the day, if they build up a ship or they get something they feel is rare or valuable, then it can leave the account because it's on chain. Each ship has a tech tree. This is an example of our auger. And so, there's 20 different ship types from different manufacturers in our lore. For this one, what you do is you kind of customize. So as you upgrade the ship, level it up, you can make decisions. I love this one. One of the upgrades we have is mine first, shoot laser. So it just gives you a slight boost after mining. Then you get a little bit of extra damage. So for the play pattern, the play mechanics of the auger is you want to be in there mining all the time for your team, harvesting resources. But then once you've done that, you got a little bit of a damage boost. You can go out there and start jumping into the field with them and try taking out your enemy bots or turrets. So this is the ship progression. Again, limited to each ship has a progression of their specific tech tree. And then on top of that, we have mods. So mods are not ship specific. So we have two categories: performance mods and cosmetic mods. Cosmetic mods are all the fun stuff we love to get: skins and nose cones and various things about the look, so players can customize and kind of kit out their ship. And then performance mods, right? So here you can, slow but deadly is a performance mod that can go into any ship. It's a tier 1 engine mod that goes in the engine slot that you craft. So you're playing these missions, you're harvesting Thorite Nano, and that goes into our crafting system. And then you can build these mods that slot into your ship. So you can kind of see the flywheel there of how the game is played.
And Matt, can I interrupt real quick? Because I do want to throw something in there. So guys, one big thing to note here is look at all the detail that Matt is showing. And again, I'm going to talk about Ari Melik from Decentraland. He has a big game called Big Time that was a very hyped game. It's a fantastic game. And one thing that Ari said in all his interviews back in 2022 or 2021 when he's been interviewed about his game was that any game that you see that was made during 2021, when they show things on Twitter or online or whatever, they're going to show a cool little trailer. They're going to show something very small, but it's going to be very, very short. It's not going to show much detail. And it's like the same thing showing over and over again. And the reason why is because they haven't done what Matt has done, where they have worked on their project since 2014. It's because it's a brand new game. So you're not going to see this level of detail. So the game is just not going to compare. But a lot of times you're not going to see that via all the hype in Twitter and all that, because of the fact you can kind of hide that. So Matt, would you say that's fair, or am I missing something?
No, that's totally fair. And again, I'm kind of anti-hype. We live, eat, breathe this stuff. And I would encourage everybody out there to definitely do their homework. I think it's very easy in crypto land to hide behind a Twitter account and kind of throw a nice glossy trailer out and kind of imply the mechanics. On the opposite side of that, I would absolutely much rather see all the detail. I'd love to, like we're putting the entire game design out there. We're putting the tokenomics out there. We're putting, all of the various pieces out there so people can know in advance. There's a trailer, we show gameplay, the dev diaries and the roadmap. I think it just, when you're making these kind of decisions, especially this, we'll call it early. It's been in development since 2014, but it's early for people now jumping on to get involved in the community. So, there's a lot of information up here. I worry in some cases it's a little bit of information overload.
Yeah.
but I know for me as I want that kind of information about other projects I look at. So
I think that's a funny thing to see, Matt, because one thing I noticed with some of the folks that I've met or talked to in regards to more the traditional gamers kind of thinking about the crypto side of things or linking the two, they want to see that high level of detail and really get into it. Where on the crypto side, it's more about, well, how is this a good investment? Blah, blah, blah. Like they're not going to look at that many details. And even if you go to YouTube and go see a YouTuber that focuses on games versus the crypto aspect of it, they cover the game in a very different way. It's almost like apples to oranges. It really is. So I try to be somewhere in the middle, but I'm not. I'm definitely more on the crypto side of things. But
sure.
But I think I've covered enough games to know a little bit about the differences there. Okay, so Matt, I do want to repeat it one more time just in case someone's kind of jumping in now. So on Friday is when all the fun starts. It can all be done via the ecosystem and website of 100 Days. What more do you want to add to that day? Do you have a time? And if so, like, how should people be prepared? Because I know with other games, the day that the NFTs can be bought or whatever it is that was happening, there's always there was issues, or some people were not prepared as far as like they already had to do some kind of thing with like KYC or something like that. Is there anything like that our viewers need to prepare for Friday?
Sure. So I think the biggest thing I would encourage them to do is, jump on the 100 Days Discord, or jump on the STFU Discord. They can ask questions. I know that they're staging the marketplace right now, so that's going up. I know we have a whitelisting sign up on the STFU playstfu.com website. That would be another big action item. Would be get whitelisted. We'll email you exactly the information, the start time, the links, where to go, and all the download information there. I'll in some respects I'll defer to the 100 Days guys, right? This is their show. They're really helping us out with their NFT marketplace, their tech, and their ecosystem here in terms of making introductions to folks like yourself.
Okay, very cool. And Lyra says hi, hey Matt. So I don't know if you know who Lyra is, but
yeah, I do. He's
okay,
he's one of our APB players. Super cool tech head, actually. It's been fun meeting players. I try to be, obviously, I work a lot, but I try to be on Discord to talk to the players, to get their feedback. I try to be more available. We have been head down on this. This has been a big thing for us. So we've been incredibly busy. So I haven't been able to jump on Discord as much as I like. But Lyris was super great about, he's a neutral guy, by the way, and not usually super complimentary, but great about going through our white paper, giving us feedback.
Those are the best
And
guys. Those
yeah,
are the best guys. Yeah, you got to have someone like that. So that's good.
I mean that with all love and respect, by the way. But he's great. I love that he you get battle tested in your ideas, right? We don't want to make something that has flaws in it. We want it to work, and so so that kind of feedback's great.
All right, so we're running up against time, but
Yep.
Matt, I will make sure to have all the links in the recording of this, as far as Discord for STFU. I'm trying not to say the cuss words there.
I know. We leaned into that. It's our cheeky
and
cheeky joke to ourselves.
absolutely, and 100 Days as well. And we can after the call we can talk to make sure that I add all the links needed. And that way they can find out, because it sounds to me like maybe the start time hasn't been set up for Friday. So I think it'll be best if everyone just kind of keeps in touch with Discord. And anything else, Matt, before we sign off?
I think that's it. I mean, I think I would give this a look. I think, all the way up from Iron to the, starting in Iron, it's up to Nano. I know we're doing a 50% discount, which makes the ROI on these initial pilots licenses pretty
Very nice.
crazy. And it's limited quantity. There aren't a ton of them. We're not shooting for the moon with this. It's really just to reward our alpha team. Get the initial set of folks who want to be part of the STFU community all set up, ready to go with their drops. So I appreciate everybody's help, and certainly if you're on the 100 Days team, you don't need to invest in this. But if you want to help share our information, you're just helping yourself out, right? So certainly circulating our project and talking it up to people we're not looking for the 100 Days folks to go and make a second investment here. We're looking for that community to help be the ambassadors and champions of our project, because it directly benefits them.
Yeah, it does. It really does. So yeah. And again, I know I keep saying this, but it's good to see a game that's been around for that long. So it's rare. I think you now have the record. I think the other game I covered that I think had been in production for a very long time was Decimated. Are you familiar with that game?
I'm not.
And that one was, I think, 2017.
Oh,
So,
wow.
and when
Yeah.
I covered it, it was late last year. So, wow. So you guys have definitely put the time into this. Well, Matt, thank you so much for the time. I am so sorry for letting me
All
know
good.
10 minutes into the stream that we're live. That was insane. This might be my biggest goof ever. And I've been doing this YouTube thing for about 8 months, and this is by far my biggest goof ever. So, and I've done a lot of goofs. So, so for me to say that it's a big goof. So again, my apologies for that, but I think it worked out pretty well. We had, I think at the most I saw 13, 14 people on there
Great.
viewing. So, and then, and of course, many will see the recording. So guys, thank you so much for watching, and we will see you in the next one. Matt, thanks again, man.